Shalom Amchun. This is lesson 6 in my read through of Aramaic Grammar Volume 1 by Reverend Thomas Arayathinal. We're going to be going over his lesson 8 on page 78 in the printed book. But this is the sixth one of the series that I'm doing. And please subscribe, turn on notifications, like, whatever helps encourage me to do more of this stuff. And originally, when we went through this lesson the first time, we mostly focused on pronominal suffixes because this is a really large lesson in this book. So I've divided it into, or I've allowed two sessions for us to sit on it because it's just so much content. So let's take a look at this lesson itself before we get into what we're going to cover, just so we can also have a little bit of a review. So let me set up my page. Last time we went over the chlap shma suisa, the instead of name attached, or pronoun suffix. So pronouns that come at the end. So if I say your cross, I'll say sliwa, cross, ach, sliwach, right? To thee, lach. And they also attached as direct objects to verbs. So like the verb qatal means he killed, and ach means to you, but I go qatlach, he killed you. So like if you're gaming and you want to say that the monster killed you, and that's why the game's over, qatlach. And the one with verbs is the last bit. I find the pronoun suffixes to usually be the most difficult to learn, but I don't think you need to learn them. I think you need to be familiar with them and then acquire them. Basically, try to be able to kind of get along and let them just through reading practice come in. They're too much to try to perfectly do unless you're trying to read and write, and then you can go back and do it. But we just basically covered the first page. Sorry about that. Let me scroll this way. Set up scrolling. My apologies. Now we can scroll. So that covered what was here. Like I said, we're looking at nouns, and this time we're going to be talking about, he calls particles. It's really the preposition, qadimuth siyama. So that which is put before, qadimuth siyama. And we're going to focus on the prepositions because he's not only telling you about how these attach, but of the prepositions. So I'm going to introduce them, which is why the second video. If you are very familiar with thinking through language that way, this could have been done as one lesson. So he talks about group A, and what I call group A is really as they would be attached in the noun. So, right, three usage of these attached pronouns for nouns, for verbs, and for prepositions. As a noun, if it's like a singular door, and you want to say your door, you would say tar'ach, my door, tar', his door, tare. Okay, so group A is as the noun is singular. Group B is as the noun is plural. So if I want to say your doors, tareik, his doors, tarau, like here. And you'll notice that ow has one of the only differences between East and Western spelling. I don't count the fact that the vowels are a little different, but where it's actually using a different vowel. This has the ptacha. This has, here's just the ptacha on the Western, and the skapa. And the reason is that the skafa, skofo, is pronounced as an o in Western. So this would be tar-o, something like that. A strange sound. So it becomes a ptacha thoho, wow, ow. So it's an AW sound. They're maintaining it. Same word, yona, yauna, we would go with a skapa, yau. They would go with a ptacha. And it just has to do with the fact that their skapa is pronounced as o. But again, going back to my original point, group B is when the noun itself is plural. So his bodies, pagrao, would be group B. His body, pagre. Let's talk about our door, like our door here at the church, our door. Someone's knocking at our door. Taran. But if it's our doors, so you're at the Syriac Home Depot, you're saying our doors are on aisle 4. Tarain. Tarain. Right? My doors, tarai. So group B is as for a plural noun, and group A as for a singular noun. You can read through the rest. I did last time. Here they're thinking about melka and adding them to it, and marawatha. I wouldn't spend too much time. I would read it, and even if you have the printed, you may want to make marginal notes about the topics that are there. Number one, I think that helps you develop a grammar book that you can always grab when you're stuck and be able to much more rapidly index through it. But I also think it helps your brain know the book better. These are going to be books that you're going to use if you stick with Syriac until they fall apart, and then you have them rebound because you want all your notes in them. They're just your favorite grammar book becomes a lifelong friend. So, having gone through all that, last video we did most of it. We can go to the propositions. Sorry, not a proposition, preposition. So he just throws them here. Really, I wish he did a chapter on prepositions. So he says there's few which omit the pronoun suffixes of group A. So that's to say there's a few prepositions that when you use them, you would use them as if they were a singular noun. So let's actually look at this with a little bit more attention. So a kadimuth siama in Syriac, kadimuth siama means that which is placed before. It creates a unit of the speech, of the pedrama, that is preposed. So there's something that preposes it. For instance, if I say, I did it because of him. If you want to say something like, the key which was in the house. It is not a proposition. So a proposition, which we have the Syriac word, either protatsis or prototsis, is a Greek word, and it just means the first given or sentence in a logical chain, not a proposition. Protasis. Well, that's like, given that all x is y, and that y is z, all x is z. And here I want to introduce a new book. It's one of my favorites. It's the Syro-Chaldaic Grammar. By Father Gabriel of St. Joseph. It's hard to get. I mean, it's impossible to get the printed original from 1984, but there's online, there's a digital one, and it's going to be linked to in the description. It's great. I have a printout of it, and it's beautiful to have. As a matter of fact, I would print it out in as nice a way as I can manage and keep it alongside. That might become your reference grammar. You can see it shares a lot with Arayathinal in its style. It's short. It's a handbook grammar, and it just explains things and charts them out without all the rest of the sound noise that's there in Arayathinal. At the end of it, we've got our prepositions. I did it good enough that I didn't feel like I wanted to retype them out. Here we go. Qadimu Siyama. So, as it says, a preposition is a word that's placed before a noun or pronoun to show in what relation it is to something else. So, if I say, Joe killed Tom, there are no prepositions. Joe killed Tom with the candlestick. With presupposes the candlestick. In Syriac grammar, we have a tendency to use concepts that come from Indo-European grammar because Greek grammarians are the model. That's why until you get to people like Wheeler Thaxton, who does a really Semitic way in his introduction to Syriac, which is another tremendously great book, you will see that kind of Greek ideas of the 7 parts of speech are used instead of what would be native in Syriac, which is name, verb, and bits, basically. A preposition would be one of the bits. But because of that, we tend to use the definitions that are in Western languages, FYI. So they're either separable or inseparable. So you already know the Suisse, the inseparable ones. Those are like Badul, Bet, Dalet, Waw, Lamed. Like you see here, Melka, Bueita in the house. And you have separate ones like Melka with the king. So there are 2 groups, and Syro-Chaldaic grammar follows that. And his first group, just like Arayathinal, unconfusingly, is that which would attach to a singular noun. So the beta, the beta of the house, l beta, ach, like the house, beinath, between, bathar, very common, after, bathar, bastar, behind, luqbal, against, luqbal. If you know the word darqul, luqbal, luath, against, muttal, because of, muttal. It's very common, right? Say it all the time. Min, from, am, with, biyad, through, el-puth, according to, so, be in me, bach in thee, bich, be, bah. Plural, ban, bachon, bachen, bahon, behen. Amach. So you see how B, the E is sounded because there's no other vowel. You need a vowel to make a sound. It's what vocalizes, right? An has the am. If it was just the meme, which doesn't exist by itself, but be me. But we don't vocalize that yud. It is vocalized here just because it's a bidul letter by itself. An, amach, amech, ameh, amma. Amman, 2 memes. Amchun, amchen, amhon, amhen. By the way, most Assyrians don't know that this would be ebta chamim mim tachanun. They wouldn't recognize that, but all East native speaker East Syriacs go amman. A way to prove to them that they're doing that is ask them to do the word like samma, which they're all going to do, which means poison. Simket taha, mim skapa, alep. Well, the alep isn't there, just the skapa, but none of them will double the meme. None of them will say sama. Sama has one meme. Samma has two. Because when I say sem, then I say ma. I don't say sa, ma. Sa, ma sounds like portion. Sama. Samma. But they won't recognize that they're doubling it half the time. Most people. So, complications that go there if you need to. And then it says prepositions would take the second group, which means they act like, in my prior video, tar'e, the doors, the plural noun. And he lists them as they would come before using the prepositions for a plural noun. Khadar, like khdarai, around me. It wouldn't be just the silent yud, right? Because it's as a plural noun. Like I'd say, tarai means my doors, pagrai, my bodies, khdarai means round about me. Bil'ad, so you would say tare with just the zlamahe, his door, but tarau, his doors, bil'adau, without him. Bil'adau. Beinei hun, beinei hin. So it's taking those plurals again. Al, upon, l, to, al. Al-ain. Al-ain means before. Khlab, so because of him, khlapau, I did it because of y'all. Khlapeikon. Sudd, with, I'm happy to be with them. Sidehun. Qdam, I'm sorry, qdameikun, I am before you. Tchuth, right? It's under me. Tchutai. So you have the word chlap, chlapein. Now let's go with the singular. Start with the third person singular. Chlapau, chlape. Chlapeik, chlapeik, chlapei. Chlapehon, chlapehen, chlapekon, chlapekon, chlapekin, kin. There's a mistake in the book. To be kin, like hen, but with the cap. And chlapein. And he shows you some differences, like al dropping its vowel, so it becomes alai. Actually, it's moving its vowel and it merges. That has to do vowel deletion rule. In my chapter on vowels, you can see that. And this is just ones that don't take the suffixes. So if you need something to read through, that's why I blew this up for you right here. Otherwise, here we've got it back in Arayathinal. He gives us akhwat, so akhwatach, like you, bagau, within, mgau, just adding that yud like you would for singular, biyad, bastar, behind, and that tacha disappears when there's another vowel. So if it's ach, if I'm going to put right here 2 dots in the cap, ach, then this merges with it. It basically, there's ach is going to have 2 dots here. The 2 vowels clash, so this vowel disappears. Vowel deletion rule. Basically, unless there's a grammatical allowance for vowels to butt up against each other, one of them is going to get deleted out by the other. The exception is when we're purposefully doubling them to create a secondary verb from a primary. Ba, thar. So this, it ends on a glottal stop. Ba, thar. So this is actually its own consonant. No issues there. Bay, nath, between. Lwath, to him, near him. Am, البث. So البث, البث Marcos, my mark. Al yad, on the hand. So on my hand, al yad. So it has to be singular because we usually think of it's it's by his hand. It's close to hand. We don't say close to hands in English either. Al yad, al yad, al yadayhun. Motto, the Western go motol. They add that there. Ours, like the word kul, we never do. And it can come motolath, and it can be motolath, motolat, like motolate for him, motolatan for us. Yeah, here it is. Look bal, against. Look bal, against me. Look bal by itself. Look bal, against me. Look balach. Look balkon. Look balchon, against y'all, against them. Min, we always put a hard dot, nuqsupukham, at the bottom. The Eastern of the Western oftentimes put the E. And it can also take the pronouns. From me, min. From you, minnach. Notice these are all the singular vowel pronouns. So let's go and please review the vocab, and let's get into the sentences. Last time I believe I did the odd. This time, why not? Let's do them all. Aki Maria natura al-pum, natura sipath. So use your translation, which you have. Let's see, wait, that's... Why did I go all the way down there? Yep. Aki Maria natura al-pum, natura sipath. Udran, udrana help, udran my help. Min gda Maria, from before the Lord, in all caps. Min zawnid awur, awura is wheat. Awurhun, their wheat. Wad khamarhun, wad mishhun, the time of their wheat, wine, and oil. Shukh al baruyat nuhra. Shukh al baruyat nuhra. Praise be Bra, he created. Baroye, his creator of the light. Attu baroyan, you are our creator. Wam satranan, and our keeper. He protects us. Atum khasyanan, you khasi, you absolve us. Wam adabranan, and you lead us. Maria dhulhin briyatha, Lord of all created things. Feminine, kulhin briyatha. Shlama ammech, peace to thee. The mar ammech, that my Lord is with thee. Minnech danich paruqad khulhin briyatha. For of you is dawning the Savior of all created things. Dukhrana bishmayya war'a uslutha shura tehwelan. I know it's about Mary because it's feminine. Dukhrana, you see the hair with the big dot on top. Bishmayya wa ar'a, in heaven and earth. Wa uslutha, in her prayer. Shura, a wall, a protecting wall. Tehwelan, she will be to us. And it's not she this time as in Mary, but following Slutha. La'azar akhu. La'azar is her brother. And the Maryam of Mary with Martha. So her brother of Mary and Martha. Notice, we wouldn't do that with the numbers in English. Bir'at, you are my son. Bir, you see? Nice quick usage of the pronoun. Suth al-qala. Hear that sound. The ath of my crying out, Malik, my Lord, wa Allah, my King. كل السويان بهن. All my hope is in them. سامث المريا لقوال. I put the Lord before me. لقوال with the silent youth. خل is one. بخل أرعى in all the land. نقث she went out. سورثن there were سورثا. So swarth is feminine, so it's نبقث. سورثن. مريا خيلو عمي. The Lord is the power of his people. ومسيعان وبرقان دمشيخه, and the aid and the savior of his Messiah. Yaqub, Yochanan, Jacob, and John, so James and John, Achui, his brother. Shwaq al-Ilpa, left the Ilpa, the boat, which is a feminine, Ilpa. Wal-Awhun, and their father, Wizzal, Bathre, and they went after him. Wargiz al-Akhu, and he got angry against his brother. Oh, Akhun Yaqira, oh, our honored brother. Shaddar, he sent. Shaddarinnu nalwat Ishmael Akhuhun, and their brother. Ishaq Yaqub now Pugdana. Isaac and Jacob, his son, by the law Namusa and the nomos, so the commandment and the nomos, the Auhon Halech of their father. So Isaac, Jacob, his sons, Pugdano Namusa Auhon, and the commandments and the law of their fathers, Halech, they walked. Bir Bukhar Israel, my son, the one who is first and blesses. Bukhra is that which is the first fruits, and it's a specifically Semitic idea. So only begotten son is not a Greek idea. It is the bukhra, the first that you take off the loaf, and offer, the first of the cattle that you sacrifice. Nchoth ach. Uh-oh, last word. Talla, yeah. Nchoth ach talla memar. Oh, my saying, my preaching, memar, came down like talla, like the dew. They brought him to Khannan, Luqwal Muttal, because of he was Khimyan, he was the in-law of Qayapa, of Caiaphas. Mutalat Nasha, because of Asmin. Mutal Purqanan, because of his salvation. Khayf min Shmaya, he came down from heaven. Ethu min Yamin al he sat on the right hand of the Father. The payment of the wicked will be seen. You will see it because you are Lord, are our hope. Now give us some more fun. Khrurach Latwilach Twilthach Shekin. So Khrurach Lagwiltach, Lagwiltach Shekin. So Khrura is freedom. Agwila is something that has been made by the potter. Shekin is let it dwell. So it means let your freedom dwell in that thing which your hands have made and fashioned. Khrura Lagwiltach Shekin. Shukhal baru yednuhra. Glory to he who made the light. Hu nihwe, he will be. Hu nihwe, he will be. Amman ubaynatan. With us and amongst us. Baynat is like between, and am is with. Nihwe lana laha, he will be to us God. Khub. نهولا آلاها آوى خبخ وورا آلاها طيبوثخ وروخا قديشة آلاها شوتابوثخ ومغننوثخ. So that means he will be to us, O Lord, thy love, and the Son of God, thy participation, thy grace. Rucha Kadisha, Alaha Shotaputha. Shotaputha is participation. Magnanuth. Magnanuth is gna. It means like for something to burst forth, to inspire. So thy inspiration. Shucha lachmar. Glory to thee, our Lord. Shucha b'ara'a wa ushmeya. Glory on earth and in heaven. Qurbanat nuch zadika. The communion of Noah. By communion I mean the sacrifice. Noah the Zadik, the righteous one. Dukhranat Maryam nehwe. May the Dukhrana, the memory of Maryam, be Burkathan, our blessings, Waslotha, and her prayer, Tehwe Shura, may she be, her prayer, she be, Shura Noshathan, a wall to our souls. Huwa Badmuthan, he was in our Dmeta, our looking likeness. Dakhnan Nehwe Akhwate, that we may be like him. Mutalatach Meitinan, because of you we die. Tal Udranan Isho, come to our help, Jesus, Yeshua, Joshua, Isho. Aude, I will praise, Aude, or I will give thanks. Lach Maria, min kulle lib, wishtai kull hintad mratach, and I will narrate, I will tell the story of all your wonders. Ishtai kull hintad mratach. 38. Tash, like a sword, or no, it's not. It's the eye. The eye is to forget. The eye. Oh, it's got that youth on it. I get it. The eye. It's got that youth at the end. That silent youth. But this time it's not forget me. It's the command. I am forgotten to you with Awuch and in the house of your father. So this is to a woman. The eye. Because we notice, because it's amech, and now we see it's feminine. So forget you, forget thou, O woman, amongst yourself and your father's house. Smooth it over. Forget your amma, your people, and your father's house. Tash lishanhun, they sharpen their tongue, achseipa umalathun, and their words achgera, like a bow. Oh, ish, he made it bad to Mushe mutalathun, because of them. Kulhin urchath, all my work, lukwalach, are towards you, against you. Yaakov barzaude, Jacob the son of Zabde, O Yochanan achu, John his brother. Minnikid minnichnan dachyane, we are with him, dachyana, minne minkyanu. So that's like, it is, minne, kid minne, it is from him, as from him, we are of the same nature. Which is to say, homoousios, we are of the same nature, right? So of him, with him, we are the same nature. Minne kid minne khnan bakhyane minne minkyana o Baba the Muth. I'm going to skip that. Bad scan. Let's go to 46. La thu battal dukhran. Again, let it not be that my memory is forgotten. Nanditha, from the city. Omen Sharbath, and from my tribe. Pummet Sakhla, the mouth of a fool. Twara ul Naushe, breaks his soul, is a ruin to himself. Wo Sepwathe Sa'id Naushe, and his Lips. Sad is to hunt, like you would hunt a deer. So his lips hunt for his own soul. He's he only hurts himself. Mshichu le achith. He is mshicha, to him he went down, he descended. Kursi Allah al alam al min. Thy chair, kursiach, thy throne, O God, unto age of ages. It means thy throne is unto age of ages. So the word is often not there in Syriac, like Arabic, like Russian. We don't have to have it. Mautivna lach al kursai. I put you. Mauthinna lach. Mouthin. Mouthiw na lach al kursai. On my chair. What if I put you on all my chairs? Mautin. Mautinna lach al kurs would be on my chair. Kursai, on my chairs. It's interesting. It actually is plural. Allah ithu al kursi qadisha. God sat on his holy throne. La nihwe ruqikhun star wa shabtha. No. It makes better sense this way. La nihwe ruqikhun bsathwa wa bshabtha. So, arak, areshkob. You see, areshkob means to flee. So what would be ruqa? So if we just cut this out and put a skaparets in, it would be something to be like to be fleeing, the flight. And if it's ruqikhun, or your flight, your fleeing, your exile. Bisathwa, in the winter. Wa bishabtha, and on the Sabbath. La nihwe, let it not be. Don't go into flight in the winter or on the Sabbath. One will kill the body, the other kills the soul. Mashtai babkhata mizgith. My drink. So mashta is a drink. Mashtai, my drinks. Bakhatha are cries, like sorrows. Mizgith. Mizgith means I mixed. Ithkanna shagiye min mditha. Many were gathered from the city. Al-Qalid bikhihun, on the sound of their crying, the bikhun, wag'athun, and their calling out, their screaming out. I recommend very much going through the second part, which as the exercises get longer, I'm going to leave for you. If you are doing this diligently, and you feel like you're getting enough so that your time is well spent, that you've gotten to the point where you can do that, I would recommend going through and doing all the exercises in this book. They really form the missing link between what I do in other Syriac lessons, where I'm going through children's books, and the kind of more advanced, difficult material. I strongly recommend doing the exercises. I'm not going to do the English to Syriac, but I don't recommend that you do it that way either. I recommend that you pick up the answer key and do the B exercises from the answer key, so that you're still translating Syriac to English, or at least reading it and using English to help you. Don't go looking upwards. As fast as you can, get through the Syriac text. That's why there's a lot in Arayathinal. And I think just keeping going is going to help you get your Syriac to where you want it, especially if you want liturgical Syriac. You want to go to church and understand the services by a khudra, be able to, let's say, pray the hymns for every day of the year. You really, Arayathinal is going to help you. It's more difficult than the others. Thank you very much. Shikha Mbarchach, and Christ bless you. Goodbye.